Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bray. I'm a former elite and all-American gymnast, and I'm a current gymnastics coach and judge. So I've always wanted to do this video about Simone when she was dealing with her twisties, and I think it begs the question, and I'm sure a lot of people who are ignorant to the situation are wondering, was she being dramatic? Is she weak-minded? Blah, blah, blah. Or was she justified in the decision that she made? I personally think she was 100% justified in making her decision, and that's what I plan on doing in this video, is describing in the best detail that I can why this made the most sense and try to get people that think she was just being dramatic or weak-minded. I really want them to get a sense of understanding just how serious this actually was. So we're going to dive into some clips that I put together. Some of them are kind of sad, but I think it's really important to see all aspects involved in this situation so we can humanize this situation as much as possible, because again, people forget Simone Biles is a human being and she's been through a lot, and it's important to be able to understand as much as possible, and then from there you can have your personal opinion. I have no problem with that, but when you have a personal opinion that's based off of nothing but what everybody else is just going along with, and they think it's funny or it's a popular saying to just say, oh, Simone was just weak. Oh, this is why women shouldn't ... fill in the blank. Like, you guys are just ignorant and you're just commenting on things that you have no idea what you're talking about. And you're just saying it to get likes and retweets and clout, and nobody even knows who you are and they don't care. So I think it's important to talk about this to the people that don't have a complete understanding. And I'm going to give my little story of what happened on Twitter when I talked about this. And I made some really big football fans mad at me. I made a lot of men mad, let's just say that. And did I care? Nope. All right, let's dive into the video. But before we do, please do not forget to like this video. It really helps me here on YouTube. I need your guys' support to continue in my YouTube. So like it, subscribe it, share it, and let's get into it. Here we go.
CTV.
Okay, so that's whenever she did her vault in the team finals, I believe, at the Olympics. And I'm going to break it down a little bit and show you exactly where it all went wrong and it got lost, and she got lost. Okay, so she goes into the Yurchenko fine and she starts the twisting, and then right here is when she starts getting lost, and that's why she opens up her arms right there. And look, she has like, look where her head is looking. She's like looking over her right shoulder almost, but her body's coming out of the 1.5, and she had no idea where the ground was. The fact that she landed this on her feet and made it, but let alone didn't just crumble to her back or land on her head, is like, God was with her, because that could have been really bad, like really bad for her. So the fact that she even got this to her feet and was able to make the vault is absolutely insane. So there's that. Well, essentially she did a 1.5 when she was supposed to do a 2.5, I believe. So she literally was missing a whole full because she literally had no idea where she was. And I think, to start with this video, I think the best way for me to get people to understand what exactly the twisties are, whether you're a gymnast, a diver, a tumbler, like people that do type of tumbling, jumping, and with flipping and twisting, like you're probably going to suffer with the twisties, but obviously it's more common in probably cheerleading and gymnastics. But the best way that I can describe what the twisties are is like vertigo. People that have vertigo, they lose that sense of, I guess, direction. I don't want to say exactly what vertigo, like act like I know everything about vertigo, but for the most part, you know that vertigo involves you having a disorientation and your equilibrium basically being off. And I don't know if anybody's like ever had an ear infection and like your ear kind of like, you just feel kind of disoriented because your equilibrium is off. That's basically what it's like to have the twisties. Your equilibrium and your sense of orientation around the air when you're flipping it does not exist. So it's essentially trying to drive blindfolded. You are like, okay, I can feel it, but I don't know where I'm going. Like, this doesn't feel right. This is scary. This is dangerous. That's exactly what the twisties feel like. And it's so scary because you feel so helpless in the middle of it and you have no idea where you are, and you're just praying to God you don't land on your head and that you don't get injured. And it's genuinely one of the worst feelings ever to have as an athlete, is to have the twisties, because you don't know how long they're going to stay. So going on on the next video, this is her at the training practice place she was at whenever she was in Tokyo, right? Was this the Tokyo Olympics? I don't even know anymore. When she was at the Tokyo Olympics, she went to some practice gym that I don't know if that was the one they were supposed to be practicing at, or she found one that had a pit in it, but this is from a training
what really
video.
made her pull out from the team and individual all-arounds at the Tokyo Olympics earlier this week. The Olympian also shared 2 shocking video clips, which have since been deleted, of herself visibly struggling with her dismounts on the uneven bars during practice at the Tokyo Olympics.
This is the worst feeling too, like gearing up, knowing you're lost and still just trying it. Yeah, is about right. So as she goes into it, right here, she gets lost. See where she's at? Watch her head. That's the moment everything gets lost. I can like feel it. I know exactly what I like. It's the weirdest feeling. I can just visualize that feeling, and knowing in your brain you're just like lost. It's so hard to just, it's a terrible feeling. So right here is when she starts getting lost, and so she thinks she's gonna land on her feet here. Like, she's nowhere near landing on her feet right now, but in her brain, she's upright, right? She's like upright to land on her feet. She's not. She's completely upside down. And this is why she pulled out, because who's to say that she didn't land on her head in the hard surface? At least with this, she was in pit, and it still would have been dangerous for her to land on her head, but better than the hard surface at competition. And that's why she pulled out of the competition, and people are getting so angry with her and calling her weak-minded and all of these things. Like, what are you talking about? That's like any player that has an injury that's about to become a more serious injury. Like, let's say someone is like, you found out, a baseball player, a football player, for some reason they got an MRI, whatever, that where the doctor could tell that their Achilles is halfway torn, right? Well, it's not completely torn, but you're probably going to tear it if you keep going. Like, do you risk it? Everyone would be like, oh no, half of his Achilles was torn. He needs to stop. What if it pops all the way? What if whatever? That's exactly what it was like with her with the twisties. The problem is you cannot see her injury. And a lot of you don't even understand the injury. It's a mental injury when it comes to the twisties. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And her Achilles was half torn, basically. It's the best way I can describe this, is had she kept going, she probably would have landed on her head eventually and seriously injured herself. Just like if the football player, the baseball player kept going, they probably would eventually tear their Achilles all the way. So she pulled out. And you know what? You have to respect that. She has to protect herself physically. What is she going to do? Risk doing the flips, then she lands on her neck, could potentially paralyze herself. So the rest of her life now she's paralyzed for what? Because your opinion, because your thought process on a matter that you don't even know what the heck you're talking about. And what? She still would have fallen, and it still would have affected the team, and they would have gotten worse than a silver. The team got a silver at the Olympics, and you guys are pissed about it? Like, tell me you're a loser without telling me you're a loser. Like, you're mad that your nation got second in the world at the highest stage you can compete at, the Olympics. You're mad about silver and you want to blame Simone? That's so crazy to me. And here's the thing, had she not pulled out, they probably would have done worse, because she probably would have fallen on the other events. Who knows if they would have even medaled, let alone gotten silver. So it's so aggravating to me that people they want to be so hard on her about things they have no idea what they're talking about, and want to be so mad at her about something that she had to do, and they don't even understand it. So essentially, it was a hand grenade. We were just waiting for it to explode. She was handling it as gently as possible. But at the end of the day, are we just going to wait for the grenade to explode, or are we just going to get the heck out of there? And that's what she had to do. She had to get the heck out of there. She had to remove herself from the events, so she didn't risk landing on her head and severely injuring her neck, and also affecting the team's score. But the number one priority should be her not being injured, because this could be seriously bad, like terrible. So that's like the whole thing there with that whole, her pulling out. It's like, she had to, like, you guys don't understand.
her doing gymnastics. On Thursday, Biles appeared on Today, fighting back tears as she described her ongoing struggles with performing routines in the wake of her bout with the twisties, a disorientation in the air while she competes, which caused her to withdraw from multiple events in the Tokyo Olympics this past summer.
To do something that I've done forever and just not be able to do it because of everything I've gone through is really crazy, because I love this sport so much. But
that part's, oh my God, that part's so sad to me. Like, let's just break this down. She says, I can't do the thing that, I love to do because of everything that I've gone through. Here's another thing too. I think people forget how abused she's been. Like, when you go through any type of abuse, but especially like SA, and it happens to you as a child, it leaves forever damage and scarring on your heart, on your brain, and you deal with things that you wouldn't have to have dealt with had you not gone through that. And that's exactly what she's dealing with on top of everything else. Like do people forget that she and hundreds of other people were so abused by Larry? Like, hello? Like, and so, I had this in the back of my brain when she went to the Olympics the second time. I was like, man, I wonder how she's going to react, given the last time she was at the Olympics, she was being abused. And it's, as much as you don't want to think about it, like, the body doesn't forget. The body, it's like if you think about eating a really sour pickle, your mouth will start watering. Your body just reacts to things that the brain thinks of. And when you go to an atmosphere where things happened that were really severe, your body has a physical reaction, and that can either be stress, anxiety, panic, shaking, freezing, crying, and you don't even know why. And it's just your body's reaction to what you subconsciously are thinking of. And this is exactly what I think Simone was going through at the Olympics. Was not only was she dealing with the fact that she was at the Olympics, which is the biggest stage in the world to compete at, so there's so much pressure. She was going to that highest performing atmosphere as Simone Biles, who had a lot of expectation out of her. Her family and friends couldn't be there because of COVID. And then on top of that, she's at the Olympics where, she's expected to then win again. Like, it's hard enough to win once. Now people expect you to win twice. And then she's going after everything about Larry has come out, and having to go back to a place, an atmosphere at the Olympics where she was, from what I understand and what I thought I've heard on her, on interviews, is even at the Olympics, they were being abused. And even if it didn't happen at the Olympics, she still was abused leading up to the first Olympics. So she's probably subconsciously reliving all of that. And that trauma is already going to take a mental, toll on her. And then on top of all of that I just mentioned, her brain is overloaded. And that's something that gets mentioned in the video, is sometimes the twisties can be brought on by stress. And I know that's when my twisties were brought on. I was really stressed out in the gym. And so I feel like that's probably what happened to her, was she was so stressed out at the Olympics, and maybe she didn't even realize it. Maybe she knew it. And then her body reacted by her brain freezing and just creating the twisties at literally the most inconvenient time ever for her, which was the Olympics. And it just makes me really sad to hear her talk about it, because it's just not an easy topic to live through. And she's doing it expecting to be this robot. Like, she was a child when all of this happened. She's a young adult now. Now she's, 25, 26. Now she's a, full adult. But her full adult self is still going to deal with things that her child self had to deal with and do. And that's heavy. And then on top of doing it in the biggest stage in the world, and people expect her to be perfect. People expect her to have no feelings and no reactions. It's just really sad.
It's hard, I'm sorry. I don't think people understand the magnitude of what I go through, but for so many years to go through everything that I've gone through, put on a front, I'm proud of myself, and I'm happy that I can be a leader for the survivors and bring courage to everybody speaking up, so I'm happy to be a voice for them, but we go through our own things, and it's hard, but with the twisting, once I got back, we'll come back, but I'm still scared to do gymnastics.
That's a sad one too. Like, she really just loves gymnastics. Like, she just wants to do gymnastics. And when you can't do your sport because you have this mental injury, like, it's so frustrating and it's so disappointing. And you just want to do the things that you want to do and you can't. You just want to do the thing that you love. And it's like your brain is preventing you from do it. So she's just like, that's just a sad interview because she genuinely is just heartbroken at that rate. Like, she's like, I've been abused. Now I'm on the highest stage and people are being mean to me because they don't understand what I'm going through in terms of the twisties. Because again, it's not an injury that you can see, and people that have never flipped and twist before, they can't even try to comprehend the twisties. So there's that, and then she's dealing with the fact that she has a broken heart of not even be able to do her normal skills. So it's just, that was a really heavy time for her, and I'm so happy she's over her twisties and she's doing really well. But that's a rough time for her, and I just felt really bad for her throughout all of that process. But that's, I think it was important just to kind of see that and hear it from a gymnast perspective on what it really feels like to have the twisties. Now, the part where I jumped in on this on Twitter whenever this first happened, and I tweeted that because people were saying that she's not the GOAT because she pulled out. And they were comparing her to the other essential GOAT, which is Tom Brady. And there's a lot of talk going back and forth about how, Tom Brady's better, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And so I tweeted, when Tom Brady has an off day, he might throw an interception, or he just might have a bad game. When Simone Biles has an off day, like, she could leave it on a stretcher. And that pissed people off. That made a lot of men mad. And I say men because every single comment that I saw that was hateful towards me, they were all men. And I actually had a few men message me apologizing afterwards because they're like, I didn't understand the severity of the situation. And this was, after Simone came out more in detail. And some of these people actually apologized to me because they realized they were wrong. So, and that's another thing I wonder is, like, Simone kept saying that it was for mental health. And I don't want to sit like I'm in her shoes or whatever. My only question or thought process is again, we can all say how we would do something, but I genuinely think this is what I would say. And maybe she was being encouraged to not say this. I don't know the full story, but my question, from the most respectful and genuine place that I can think of, and to be as kind as possible, is why didn't she just say, I have the twisties, and then describe what the twisties are right from the beginning? Why did she say, well, I'm just having mental health? Because people are going to take that and run with it and just drag her name through the mud and drag her name through everything and make her name sound bad simply because they thought she was weak-minded. So I'm curious why that was the route taken, and why not just say, I'm suffering with the twisties. This is what the twisties are. It's a mental injury. It can cause severe injury. This is blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that would have saved her maybe a lot of hate. Probably not as, she still would have gotten hate for sure, because there's just hateful people in the world, and anytime they see an inch, they'll take a mile, and they can be mean to people. But I just wonder why she didn't say that right from the beginning. But I don't know the full story. Maybe she didn't want to. Maybe PR was telling her not to, or somebody else was telling. I don't know. But I'm just curious why from the get-go she didn't describe it like that. But it's her choice. She was the one going through it. I was just wondering. But yeah, I pissed a lot of people off in that tweet. And, after describing it, some people stopped commenting because they realized they were wrong. And I was making a good point. I think, and my point to that is, I'm not arguing that football is less dangerous than gymnastics. I never said that. I actually think, and it's been proven, football is way more dangerous than gymnastics. Football is actually like one of the most dangerous sports in the world, given how many CTE injuries happen, concussions, injuries, things like that. Like, I will never let my kids play football because it's super dangerous. And so I'm not arguing that gymnastics is more dangerous than football, but that's what a lot of men thought that I was doing. And they were like, oh, she thinks that they just show her the video and so goes out on a stretcher because blah, blah, blah. Bro, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when Tom Brady has an off day, like his throw might be a little off. He might feel a little slow, sluggish, like whatever. And that's going to result in maybe an interception or, you know, an overthrown pass, like whatever. Like that's an off day to him. When Simone's having that off day, in terms of her mental, like it can cause severe injury. Like you having off days look different. That's my point. Is they were saying, oh, she's just having an off day and she quit. No. Her off day was the twisties that could result in her breaking her neck because she has no idea where she is, flipping, twisting through the air and could land on her neck. When Tom Brady's having an off day, he just throws a bad pass. Like if coach is like, hey, Tom, you're having an off day. Like what does that look like? It's not Tom, you know, throwing a bad throw is not going to result in him landing on his neck. He's not going to throw an interception and then go pink and land on his neck. Like that's not going to happen. Simone, that is what's going to happen. And that was my point. Like you guys are being so hateful towards her, saying she just is having an off day and she's weak-minded. And then you want to compare her to Tom Brady. Okay, those are not even comparable because Tom Brady's off day is, like I said, it's a thrown interception, but Simone's off day could seriously make her end up on her neck because when, again, Tom's throwing a ball and it's a little off, what's it going to result in? It's not going to result in him being physically injured. Could he get injured throwing the ball? Yes, I'm not arguing that. Let's just for argument's sake say, so Tom's by himself. He has a target that he has to throw the football to, and if he's a little off on that day, like his throw feels weird, his body-mind connection feels weird, he might not hit the target. That's all that's going to happen. He's not going to get injured because he didn't hit the target and because he was a little off and he threw crooked or whatever. He's not going to have a serious neck injury and just because he's throwing crooked. Simone, on the other hand, if she's at the gym by herself, whatever, and she's on beam or she's on vault and she feels a little off, just like Tom did, and she goes and does her skills, because gymnastics skills are so dangerous and they need such a fine line of where it's on or you're off and you're not injured and you are injured. If she's a little off, that will result, most likely could, in an injury. So do you see what I'm saying? Like if Simone's like, God, I just feel weird, my mind-body connection is off, like I just feel sluggish, that could result in her technique being off, and that technique being off could result in her having an injury. That was my argument. I had no argument that gymnastics is more dangerous than football. I don't think it is. It's not. Statistically, you look at all the injuries, look at all the deaths, gymnastics is way lower than a lot of people would expect. And football is a lot higher than a lot of people would expect. So that's not what I'm arguing. I'm just arguing simply athlete to athlete, off day to off day. One will result in this and the other will result in this. That was it. And yeah, that caused a lot, like I got a lot of retweets on it, a lot of quotes, a lot of likes, but I had a lot of people, they were mad. They were big mad. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you can understand a little bit more what it's like to have the twisties as a gymnast and have a little bit more patience with those athletes that might be going through it. And just, we got to work through it. And it's just like a mental injury and it's not fun. But I hope that I was able to show you a better perspective on all of that and a little bit better understanding and a perspective that maybe you did not know. So thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in my next video. See you later.